Hello, and welcome to Wilson v. Wilson, the podcast where we discuss news, politics, other stuff. I'm Peter Wilson.
And I'm Jess Wilson. So we're going to go ahead and kick off the show with vice versa. I've got 6 headlines picked out for you today.
That's a lot.
So, yeah, I got some fun ones, I think. So we're just going to go through. I'm going to read a headline, where it's from, and Peter's going to give me his quick opinion on the headline. So we'll start out with Reuters. We have Putin declares martial law in occupied Ukraine regions.
Interesting take on a special military operation. Like you're 9 months in, you're like, we're doing martial law now. Seems like maybe that's not the best thing for those regions.
I will give you a little more clarification. It is 4 particular regions that are currently being held by Russia, where they are having a hard time holding those locations. Okay. Like Ukrainian fighters are starting to take them back.
The Donetsk or Don.
I can.
You should probably list what they are.
Get you the regions real quick.
Putin makes me nervous.
Yeah,
I'll say it.
Not a fan. I'll say that.
Really? Crazy.
If that wasn't already known. Let's see where.
What is it? I remember, I think it was 2012. Mitt Romney was like, they asked the question in debate, what's the biggest geopolitical threat? And Mitt Romney said Russia, and was roundly mocked. And I think Obama said something along the lines of, this isn't 1980s or something. And I'm like, there's something that Romney said that aged like fine wine.
I don't know. I mean, then Russia wasn't, it doesn't seem to
maybe
list
they were.
The particular regions in this Reuters piece.
Oh. It's probably the 4 eastern ones, though.
Yes, I would assume.
It has to be the 4 eastern ones.
Probably
it's not the western ones.
Closest to the,
probably the ones that they have.
To the lines. Yeah.
Not good.
I don't think they were as much of a threat as they currently are. I think Putin's acting like an absolute madman. You can look at all of the analysts
absolutely
this war, and they're all like, there's absolutely no way he would do this. This is just crazy behavior.
Yeah.
And then he did. So I understand.
And he's kept doing it because it's hard to back down when you've done what he's done.
I understand mocking Mitt Romney for that when it happened.
I still think
Mitt
Romney was right. I'll say it. But
sure.
Yeah, he was.
Okay, Peter.
I wish he'd won. Oh well.
So we'll move on. Next headline from NPR. Why Herschel Walker ordered 1,000 fake law enforcement badges.
What? It's probably like a promotion for his campaign, isn't it?
Well, have you heard?
Because he is technically a deputy. Like, he's a deputy of someone. He's an honorary deputy. And he's worked with somebody for how law enforcement deals with mental health patients, which is fine. And that's a noble goal.
I'll clarify what Georgia representatives and Georgia government and sheriffs have said. They give out a lot of those badges to like football players and celebrities.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably like the Kentucky Colonel. It doesn't mean a whole lot at this point.
And he's just been claiming that he works for the police department now.
Yeah, like he's not technically entirely wrong, but
it's
definitely a stretch. So
Did you see him pull it out at the debate? And they were like, "You cannot have props. Put it away." So now he's ordered 1,000 of them to hand out.
Okay.
To his constituents.
You know, someone's gonna try to arrest someone with that. Be like,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Deputy of
honorary Herschel deputy. Walker deputy.
That's like some of those honorary doctorates that you're like, I don't know if you should give them the dignity of a PhD. Let's hold our horses a little bit there.
Yeah, we'll do. This one's kind of a sad one.
Oh dear.
A little crazy. From CNN, Missouri elementary school found to have unacceptable levels of radioactive contamination will be closed indefinitely.
I'm curious how that happened. Also homeschool. I'm not really kidding, but
was there radioactive matter at your school, Peter?
Not that I know of. To be fair, the government wasn't testing, but I don't think so.
I won't lie, I'm pretty sure there was lead contamination going on at my schools.
I mean, there may have been a little bit in the 100-year-old house I grew up in.
Yeah.
But actually, I don't know if there was much. We'll find out 40 years down the road. No, but it's a dear old house, and I'm glad to have grown up in it. But no, that's not good.
Would you like some more information?
Yeah, I would like a little more context. Like, was there a plant or?
Jana Elementary School in Florissant, Missouri, as well as its kindergarten playground, had high levels of radioactive contamination stemming from waste dating back to the creation of the first atomic bomb in the 1940s, according to an independent report from the Boston Chemical Data Corporation.
So they just built an elementary school in a really terrible place.
It sounds like either they dumped radioactive waste next to an elementary school in the 1940s, or the school was built on a dump site.
That's not right.
No.
What's in Missouri that has? Is it Little Rock that has a water crisis? That's in Arkansas. But what's the water crisis? Did you not talk about that?
Do you mean Flint, Michigan?
No, it was a Midwestern / Southern. Was it Mississippi? It wasn't Flint.
I'm not sure. There's a lot of water crises going on. I will say I think we're going to see more of that going forward because of the way water rights are handled.
That's why I only drink milk. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I drink water.
He drinks whole milk.
Hey,
he once drank a whole quart of whole milk.
Back to politics. Anyway, no, but kind of on a slightly still weird note, I saw a tweet yesterday about a school out west somewhere that built their football field on top of a cemetery. And occasionally bones crop up. Which I think, and they have a sign over the entrance to their field that says, "Welcome to the graveyard," which is kind of just, I mean, it's bad. Like, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't build your football on top of a graveyard. But if you're going to do it, you have to own it. And if you're going to own it, that's kind of terrifying. And they would also occasionally and I don't know if bones actually come up because that doesn't seem likely, right?
Yeah.
But they at least scatter fake bones on the visitor sideline.
That's...
Like,
I don't
you can't
know
really be mad.
if I love that or if I hate it.
Yeah, anyway.
I can't tell if that's my favorite thing or if I'm viscerally upset by it.
Yeah, it's sort of right on the edge there. It's like, that's a little disrespectful, but like, if I was buried in a graveyard and somebody put a cemetery over it, I'd want them to own that.
It's kind of excellent branding. It's
excellent branding.
Yeah.
I think it's like, it's a small town school out maybe in a desertish spot, but like...
Imagine going to play football in a desert school and there's just bones. Oh my God.
Anyway, what's the next headline?
We'll go over to BBC. Elnaz Rekabi, crowd greets Iranian climber who broke hijab rule on return.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Iran a lot.
We are.
Definitely a specific case. I'm worried for her but we've seen a lot of this lately, I feel like, of Saudi Arabian women and women from countries that have very restrictive laws about head coverings and what women should wear, competing in international competitions and not following those rules. And obviously, good for them. I'm all for it.
I will say I'm not one to police someone's religion if wearing a head covering is a decision you want to make. Go for it. But I understand, from my understanding, in the religion, it is a choice you make. And if they decide not to wear one, go off, girls. If they decide to wear them, also go off, girls, you know?
Yeah. It certainly... Yeah, I'm not one to be like, you should ban hijabs, because I don't think that's fair either. And you'll see some of that happening in, I think France has had some like questionable, like, and part of it I think is like allegedly safety, but that's taking a civil liberty that shouldn't be taken away.
Yeah, it's a little gross, France.
But also, I think it's just as bad to be like, you must wear, which some countries that are ruled by Sharia law, or there's large contingents of the government that want to be ruled by Sharia law, are like, you must wear head coverings if you are a woman.
I'll say I think dress codes for women in general are bull. That's my opinion. Why is anyone making rules about what women can wear?
Yeah.
Definitely. What's that
about? Definitely dress codes that are double standard are not a good move.
Well, definitely, we're going to come back to this topic, but we have...
Janet Jackson was done dirty. Anyway.
We got a couple more. We'll talk about her, too. Go off, Janet. We'll talk about... We got 2 more headlines. I think you're going to like the last one a lot. But this one, CNBC, Kanye West, who now goes by Ye, agrees to buy conservative social media platform Parler, company says.
Oh, yeah. Heard about that. That site needs a little moderation. I don't know. On the one hand, I'm very, very pro free speech. So, but the line is terroristic threatening. That is the line. And people can sometimes say something's terroristic threatening that's not. And that's, right, it's always like a government or an entity can try to move the window of acceptable discourse to where they want it. I think we do see some of that happening. We see people on both sides being like, this is not something you should say, right? But like threatening things and, I mean, threatening someone's life in a specific manner or even in a non-specific manner, if you're like, I'm going to kill someone in a vague way, it's still saying I'm going to kill someone. That is terrorist threatening. That's not okay. It's not protected by the First Amendment. Now, saying things that are, let's say, hateful, you have a right, the government doesn't necessarily have a right to police that. And private companies do. Take for example, Twitter or Facebook or Parler has a right in some circumstances to police that. Though there's also the line that they are trying to, the worlds of social media and the First Amendment and like public forums is such a complicated topic. And media law and media ethics are just interesting circumstances because so much of it is just like, it depends. It depends what's going on. And I'm not one to say, and I'm very much one to say, hey, you counter speech with more speech. You don't say, you can't say that.
I think to an extent.
Yeah.
To an extent.
I'd imagine we'd place those lines at slightly different places.
Probably, yeah.
And because I think a viewpoint that's scared of people questioning it can get really dangerous really fast.
Definitely.
That's just a problem. But obviously, Ye would buy Parler. That's the logical next illogical step for him. I don't really have a good comment on like that specifically because like I'm not on Parler, so I don't know what.
Glad to hear it.
Maybe I should.
No.
Just out of curiosity's sake. I do like the name, not gonna lie. Because it's like Parler, right? You have discourse there? Anyway, like an old-timey Parler.
It's spelled like that.
I know, which is annoying. But I'm assuming that's what they were going for.
I have no idea.
Or maybe they just can't spell. It's Kovefi all over again. You can get cups that say that. Because I think it's about...
Yeah, you can buy cups.
You can buy a mug with anything on it. We need to get merch. No, I'm kidding.
Get merch.
Anyway.
Just for us. Just for the two of us.
Yeah.
And Ryan. Ryan would get some merch.
I don't know. Ye's not probably someone that anybody should listen to. Except maybe musically. Jail Part 2 goes hard.
We'll wrap up quick with our last headline, which is from NBC. I think you're gonna like this one. Snake on a plane. Unwanted reptile passenger sneaks onto United flight.
It would be a United flight. Of course it's a United flight. This is kind of off topic. It's related to United though. Also, have you sent that to Randolph? Professor Randolph?
No, I have not sent him that headline.
He needs to see it.
Absolutely.
Snakes on a plane is
it's his whole thing.
No, but United Airlines, of course it's them. We're going to ruin any sponsorship chances we have from United, but I have an uncle that he flies, he's retired now, but he flew all the time for his job.
Yeah.
And he had a note for the company that he flies with that was like, do not make me fly United, ever. I think they made him fly United 3 times.
Oh no.
And every time something went wrong.
Oh gosh.
I would rather, like, I can't think, like, American's not great. But United is just like, they're the ones that dragged the doctor off the plane, right?
Multiple times. Yeah.
Not the same doctor. Different doctor.
Multiple doctors. Of multiple.
They just have a thing for dragging doctors off of planes.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I think they're also the airline that their flight attendants beat up a couple passengers.
Hey, I mean, it's a tough job. Sometimes you gotta let loose.
You just gotta
let off a little steam.
Get a little, yeah. I will wrap up this headline by letting you know that it was just a garter snake.
Oh, was it? Where was the flight from?
It was
flight
Florida, right? 2038, bound for New Jersey from Tampa, Florida.
Like I said, Florida. Knew it.
It's just a little garter snake.
Yeah, it's not a problem. Garter snakes are fine. Honestly,
yeah.
Make the flight a little more interesting.
And he was removed by Port Authority Police Department and released back into the wild.
More snakes on planes.
I hope
Make America have snakes on planes again.
I hope the little snake is doing well, and I hope he makes his trip to New Jersey.
He's a Jersey.
As he clearly wants to go.
I'm slithering here.
Let him return to the Garden State where he clearly wants to be.
He's a gardener snake.
He's a garter
snake.
Garter.
I know. Yeah. Pretty much gardener snake. Same thing. They don't wear garters.
Yeah, this is kind of a snake-related story. Okay, we have a lot of snakes in Ohio, but there's only 3 kinds that are venomous.
Oh.
Right? 2 of them are marine, so most snakes are fine.
Water moccasins.
Yeah. My dad, where we have this new property out kind of on the outskirts of town, it's a bit out there, it's on farmland mostly, and he goes out to mow the property a couple times a week. He told me, he came home one morning and he was like, "You'll never guess what I saw." I was like, "What'd you see?" And he was like, "There was a snake in the yard all coiled up taking a nap." And I was like, "Okay, like sick?" And he said, and I went to investigate and I was like, "You went, huh?" He poked it with a stick, Peter. My dad walked up to this unidentified snake and went, Hey, what's up there?"
I mean...
What? That is behavior I'd expect of you, I'm not gonna lie.
That's fair.
And he was convinced also that it was a venomous snake.
Oh, so he's like, let's poke this venomous snake.
Yeah, it wasn't. My dad doesn't know what the venomous snakes are. He thought there were like 70 varieties in Ohio. There's 3.
No, I mean, I think he's thinking of the venomous snake people.
No, he was like, "Oh, for sure. It's venomous. Let me poke it with a stick." What? What is that is white dad behavior. Okay?
Hey, don't slander white dads.
I'm not. That's just the truth. Am I wrong?
I mean, fair.
Director's check. That is a man thing to do. That's not just a white dad thing to do. That is a male of anything thing to do.
Ryan, are
is to
you
poke.
also saying you'd go poke a maybe venomous snake?
I am, and there's no camera on me, the director, at this point, because they're both on our lovely hosts. As you can see, there's Jess, and here is Peter. And this is the guy pushing buttons, so if you've heard my voice before, if you've watched anything Eastern Progress. No, I'm deathly terrified of snakes, but...
You do it?
I would think about it.
Yeah, because like I'm not scared of snakes. Absolutely,
Peter. It's the reaction, like you know what I mean. Like, do you know how many times?
You gotta know what happens.
Like, do you know how many times I've found spiders in my room and I've just been like, what if I just like moved it this way or moved it that way? I don't kill them. I just send them outside. I want to show the audience Jess's face real quick.
I respect that. I also take every bug I find outside and
but like I'm going to poke it. Like I'm gonna like.
Why?
You gotta see what goes on.
Yeah.
I don't think you do. I think
there's a reason that Custer State Park in South Dakota has signs that say "Don't ride the buffalo." It's because people did that.
It's because of you two, isn't it?
I wouldn't do that to a buffalo.
mean,
I'm not that stupid.
I wouldn't touch a buffalo, but if I were bigger than something and it didn't have like the option to maul me, then yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like I can outrun a snake. You know?
Well, I'm not gonna outrun a snake, but like I'm gonna like get a good sized stick to where I can at least be away from its jump, if that makes sense. But like if there's a bobcat, I'm not gonna touch a bobcat because like that thing is faster than me and it can eat me.
And I will clarify from the description. This definitely was not a venomous snake. It was a black rat snake from what the description was.
Well, even better. Like if it's a non-poisonous snake, you bet I'm poking that thing.
Pick it up.
I've watched my dad run away from a black snake once.
I was bullied in kindergarten because they took me to Darby Creek Park. It's a metro park in Ohio. And they were showing us all the animals, and they're like, who wants to hold the black rat snake? It's not venomous. And I was like, give me that snake. And no one else would hold it. So there's like pictures of me holding this big black rat snake and Tiny just beaming, and everyone else horrified.
Snakes can be scary, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to poke it.
So cool, though.
They're not really that cool.
They're just little buddies. But I wouldn't poke him when he's napping. He's clearly taking a nap.
Well, maybe not when he's napping, but like if I just saw a little snake just sitting there and I was like, I poked this thing.
What? Isn't looking at him good enough?
No.
It's literally just do something, you know?
Dude,
no,
like it's not like we're not being inhumane. We're just like wanting to see what it does.
Killing it.
Don't you ever just like want to play? Like, have you ever like? So let me ask you this, Jess. Have you ever like? Do you own an animal? Like, have you ever owned an animal in your life?
Yeah.
Have you ever walked up? Okay, what was it?
Dogs, cats, and a turtle.
Have you ever walked up to any of those animals and purposefully annoyed it just because you thought it was fun?
No.
Never.
They do that to us.
No.
You've never walked up.
People.
You've never walked up to a dog and like to play with it. You've like annoyed it just a little bit.
Not intentionally. Like when I was a little kid, I used to dress my grandma's dog up in little outfits, and she tolerated me begrudgingly. But like I wasn't trying to upset her.
Yeah, but I think you annoyed it.
I definitely did, but it wasn't intentional. It wasn't like I'm going to annoy this dog. It was
not like in a
let's
way.
play
No,
dress up.
like
but you do that to your siblings.
Like in a playful way.
Yeah, I do that to my brother all the time. Not to my dogs. Not to my cats.
All right, director checking out because we need to get back to politics. But fun conversation.
You have a lot to say, right?
Yeah, we can go ahead and circle back to Iran. And I'll start out by saying I'm standing in solidarity with my sisters in Iran. If I had the balls to cut my hair off, I'd do it. But I don't. I don't have that courage, and I'm falling to pieces in general already, so maybe not that. But I am very proud of my sisters and the work that they are doing. And death to the dictator. Do you have anything you'd like to say, Peter?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of women being like, hey, let's give us some rights.
We appreciate the support, Peter.
I mean, part of the tragedy of Iran is that they've had rights before. Like, they had a lot more rights, and then let's see. When was it that?
I don't remember the year. I know it was the morality police, the dress code, and all of that kind of stuff was instated towards the end of the Islamic Revolution of Iran.
Yeah. And it's just, I mean, for one, it's any despotic like dictatorship like that is just, it's always going to be problematic because somebody who has uncontrolled power is always going to abuse it because people shouldn't have uncontrolled power, right? They shouldn't have unbalanced power. And let's see. I mean, it's kind of crazy the difference between where you live matters so much in terms of what rights you have. I mean, especially for women, not really as much for men. But it's just I feel like this is going to become a more common thing. The kind of, at least attempts to throw off, not that it's not been common for a long time, but I mean, the attempts to throw off dictatorships and throw off these restrictions. And a big part of it's the morality police and you're not wearing a hijab, you need to do that.
And that's not even the only rule that women have been dying over the past month, over the past couple of months. I'm looking right now. as of September 28th, the death toll was 76 protesters.
No.
On the 28th, it was 76. It's definitely more now. And I know from Evin prison, I'll clarify a little bit. Evin prison is a prison in Iran that has political prisoners housed in it from the protests. And there was recently fires and gunfire, tear gas being shot at prisoners, people staying locked in their cells while this is going on, bombs going off. And what we are hearing from protesters is that it was intentionally done by the guards of the prison to kill and intimidate political prisoners.
Yeah. I noticed it says even state media puts the number of dead at 41.
That's state
Yeah, no,
media.
I know. So that's lower
Yeah.
toll, obviously. I'm just,
Okay,
I was
yeah.
surprised that they were admitting there was deaths at all.
Yeah.
I guess probably they realized they couldn't avoid admitting that there were some deaths.
Yeah.
Blamed rioters. Hundreds of people have been arrested, 20 of them journalists. That's I don't know. When you see 20 journalists arrested, like obviously we know that it's a dictatorship, but you always see the easiest way to be like, oh, they're clearly doing something that they don't want talked about,
Yeah.
and that is shady, is you see journalists being arrested.
And that I will say that's kind of a double hit for us. My heart's already breaking for all of the women who have died in the protests and all of the women who are suffering and who are fighting. But we're both journalists, and seeing fellow journalists be imprisoned and killed it adds to it. It adds to the heartbreak for us, because those are our brothers and sisters in the field, and I think there's a special kind of bond you have with other journalists when you work in journalism that makes it pisses me off more.
Yeah,
that's what I'll say. Makes me even angrier.
And I think another thing with that, I remember someone sent it, showed, like we saw it in the newsroom, but it was Trevor Noah's thing at like the press dinner. And he said something along the lines of, don't stop doing stuff when you're not going to get imprisoned or even killed for it, that people who are going to get imprisoned or even killed for it do overseas. In terms of don't stop in speaking truth to power. Don't stop digging into things that need to be dug into. I'm going to read part of this BBC article because it was information I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that kicked off the 11 days as of September 28th, which is, again, almost 20 days ago now, sparked by the death of a woman in custody. The woman's name...
did you not know about Mahsa Amini?
I knew vaguely.
Yes, okay.
But I didn't know specifically, so I think it's good to... Because I think it's easy to just be like, oh, Iran's in trouble. But Mahsa Amini, she was a 22-year-old Kurdish woman from the north. This is from the BBC. 22-year-old Kurdish woman from the northwestern city of Saqqez had been visiting the capital, Tehran, on the 13th of September when she was arrested by morality police officers for allegedly violating the strict law requiring women to cover their hair with a hijab or a headscarf. She collapsed after being taken to a detention center to be, and puts it in quotes, educated, and died in hospital following 3 days in a coma. Police said Miss Amini died after suffering sudden heart failure. Yeah.
But I think we all know that what happened was she was beaten to death.
Yeah.
By the morality police, who have been continuing to take political prisoners, beat women to death over not properly wearing their head coverings. And I know they've also been targeting universities, specifically university-age women.
Yeah.
In particular.
To not be wearing it.
And there were, social media is a big place where we've been getting a lot of this information and reporting because internet is being restricted in Iran to stop this information about the protests from crossing national lines. But there's a lot of information that we've been getting that there have been teenagers also who have died in protesting, or who have just been taken by the morality police in the meantime, who have been killed.
It is such a gross contradiction of terms to be like, we're the morality police, so we're going to kill this person for not wearing a scarf like we want her to.
We are protecting women by beating them to death if they don't look exactly how we think they should.
Like, even if there was some danger in not wearing a headscarf, it would be just obviously ridiculous to say, oh, we're going to protect you from that by killing you. And there's not some danger in not wearing a headscarf.
Well, I mean, there is. It's
well,
just
there,
the
yeah,
danger
there is. The danger
the morality
the danger
police.
is from the morality police. It's like, yes, it's so dangerous to not wear a headscarf. Like,
Because we will kill you. Yeah.
it's like, well, that's not very
Understood.
not very good. Yeah, but that's also Iran. Even I'm trying to pronounce it right, but a lot of turmoil for sure, and they've had this off and on. I feel like this is maybe the biggest protest they've had
In
a while.
in recent years. Yeah, and I hope that they get real change. I hope that they, death to the dictator. I hope that they succeed, and I hope that they are able to change the material circumstances that they're living in. And I hope that soon we will see more freedom for women in Iran. And not sure we will, but I really hope we do.
I mean, it's things have changed there before, so it can happen again.
And I hope it does. I
Yeah.
hope they get the revolution that they are looking for.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything else on that?
No, I think we're actually
Can't do
running
taxes.
short on time. We can talk about taxes next time. We
Yeah.
keep putting off taxes, but we will talk about taxes.
Yeah.
I promise.
I mean, I put off taxes in real life too. So
I mean, I have things to say about taxes.
I did pay them.
But I will reiterate and finish off that story by saying death to the dictator. And we'll move into our last segment, which is movie
It's
recommendations.
like quick turn.
Kind of a bit of a turn there, for certain. Peter, would you like to give your rec? Tell us a little bit about your movie.
I can go first. So my movie recommendation is one of my favorite movies. It's The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. It's Ben Stiller is the lead. Oh, who's the other lead? Let me look that up real fast. I feel like that's important information. But it's about this guy he's got a great imagination, and that is also problematic because he completely spaces out in public, and just hilarious movie, beautiful movie, a lot of great scenery because he ends up going places, an excellent fight scene.
Would you like to give a little synopsis of the plot?
Let's see, Kristen Wiig is
Kristen Wiig, yes.
And who else? What's the guy's name? Ben from Parks and Rec. Oh man, he's in it too. He's the villain, one of the villains. The fight scene starts in an elevator, and they're skateboarding through New York City, fighting over a Stretch Armstrong.
I meant a synopsis of the movie.
Oh yeah, sorry, spoilers. Yeah, anyway, this dude, he's got a very incredibly boring life. He's a negative asset director for Life magazine, right as it's transitioning into an online thing. And I love photography, and I love old school stuff like that. And so he's got to find this film negative, and he goes all over the place looking for it, and maybe he finds it or maybe not. Watch the movie, highly recommend. Kind of bombed at the box office, but it shouldn't have.
I liked that
Deserved
movie.
better.
It was good.
Great film. I've watched it so many times. I can quote most of it. anyway.
I'll give you my movie recommendation. It is Trial of the Chicago 7, starring Sacha Baron Cohen. I love Sacha Baron Cohen. And Eddie Redmayne as Abby Hoffman and Tom Hayden. The Chicago 7, if you're not super familiar, was a group of leftist activists during the Vietnam War who were involved with the riots in Chicago ahead of I think it was the Democratic convention that would elect the candidate that lost to Nixon, I believe, was the president during this trial. But it's 7 of these activists who were put on trial for conspiracy to cross state lines to start a riot, which is it's convoluted. But then there's also an 8th member of the defendants who's on trial we'll just say he's on trial with them for a period, and his name is Bobby Seale. And it's based on true events. The cinematography is absolutely beautiful. The score is magnificent. And I really like the politics of the movie, personally. So that is mine. It's Trial of the Chicago 7. I know you can watch it on Netflix. Not sure where else it is, but I would highly recommend.
May I make a recommendation as well?
Yes, Ryan.
Movies. That's my stuff.
As long as it's not There Will Be Blood.
There will be. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding. No. So you guys were talking about movie recommendations, and it reminded me of a movie that I've been dying to watch that I actually watched an essay, like a video essay of sort about recently. The 1930 war drama All Quiet on the Western Front.
Was it good?
That one it's jarring. It is really eye-opening because the story or the book that the movie or the original movie, don't watch. They're coming out with a remake this year on Netflix, and then there also was a remake made in 1979. Watch the 1930 original because that one is the most dedicated to the book. They actually have German World War II veterans that play the extras in the film, so they're actually doing the actual drills that they were doing during World War I, right before World War II as well. So in this film, you're actually seeing legit drills happen, and everyone that was in that film actually related. So the story was written by an actual World War I vet who he created a character that in the story that experienced the exact same things he experienced in war. So all these things that you see in the book or that you read about in the book actually was experienced by the author. And then in the movie, it's the exact same. The characters are named the same thing, but they added in certain details from the soldiers that witnessed it that were also as extras. It was panned at the time when it was released because it showed blood, it showed gore in the 1930s in cinema. That was unheard of.
And it was pretty anti-war.
It was, yeah. Well, it's told from a German soldier's perspective. Yeah. So it's from Germany's perspective, and it's about like the truth of war. You see the battlefield because everyone wants to talk about the honor and the glory, but no one talks about the blood. And All Quiet on the Western Front is all blood. So nobody, like back in the day, I mean, it still won Best Picture and Best Script that year in the 1930. But great film, crazy. Like some of the scenery in it is just like it lasts. Like it's a good film. I know that I didn't mean to intrude, but giving movie references, and I thought about All Quiet on the Western Front. Give it a watch. I don't know where it's at.
It's a fantastic movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Never seen it. We'll have to
watch it.
Yeah.
Progress movie night. So that is about all we have for today. This has been Wilson v. Wilson. I'm Jess Wilson.
I'm Peter Wilson.
And we will catch you next time. Bye.